Welcome back. It's to watching news across Nigeria. Now, for more on our top stories and others, please visit our website channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. Log on to channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. And the Channels TV and Channels 24 apps will give you access to news and updates. You'll also have access to the Eyewitness feature with which you can share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, tap and swipe to reveal the menu and then carefully follow the instructions. We're in Benue State now, where Governor Samuel Ortom has ordered the demolition of structures illegally erected along the path of waterways. This follows the heavy flooding in Makurdi, the state capital, that ravaged over 2,000 houses, including the offices of the state's radio station. Governor Ortom, who inspected the flood-affected areas, also appealed to the federal government to intervene and make available the ecological fund to support the state. A heavy downpour lasting over 4 hours lashed the city in the early hours of Sunday, flooding houses around the Niman, Idie and Naka Road areas.
Water covers everywhere. The aftermath of the heavy rainfall that submerged over 2,000 houses in Makurdi. This displaced family, with their aged parents, are left with no option but to make the street their new abode. They've been evicted from their home by the flood. The roads are not spared either. Residents have to swim across a divided portion deep enough to submerge a human being.
Yes, there is no drainages around this area, and that is the reason why this flood happened. If you go into my house now, it's unfortunate that I'm standing on the roadside, but if you go into my house now, my mattresses, all my equipment are inside the water. It's up to the knee level, inside my room. I'm not talking of outside of the environment.
The scale of devastation in the area has attracted the attention of the state government.
I have no alternative than to demolish, because we cannot come and be lamenting every day as a government. We must give the people guide and direction. And the people too should listen to us. Where you're not given a certificate of occupancy and you just come and build on water channel, and you're causing inconvenience to legitimate owners of the land. Okay, look at the inconvenience they are causing now.
The governor also solicits support from the federal government to deal with the issue.
Benue State needs ecological intervention as a matter of urgency to enable us have access to our homes. And I think that the federal government ecological programs should intervene with immediate effect. Why I call on National Emergency Relief Agency to also support the state government.
While most parts of the state continue to grapple with the economic and social losses from the flood crisis, the residents of Makurdi may have to wait for the waters to recede in order to pick up the wet pieces of their lives, while hoping for an effective solution to the problem.
Thirteen buildings earlier marked as distressed are to be demolished today by the Lagos State government. Now, the buildings located on Lagos Island are part of the 40 structures to be brought down in the first phase of the exercise across the state. The Lagos State Building Control Agency, which is carrying out the exercise, explained that the first phase of the demolition will last for about 1 month. And it also adds that ample notice has been given to the owners of the structures before the commencement of the demolition. All right, we're now being joined on the program by the General Manager of the Lagos State Building Control Agency, Mr. Lekan Shodende. Mr. Shodende is a civil engineer. It's great to have you on the program News Across Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
All right, it's going to be a month-long exercise from what we saw there, starting from the Lagos Island, if I believe it's also going to spread to other parts of the state. But what's the game plan actually?
Well, thank you very much. Game plan is that we want to prevent the advent of buildings collapsing, unmanaged. Before now, most of the buildings that have collapsed in recent times have actually been identified. And it takes a process of informing the owner that this building is structurally defective. do the needful, get it removed, do a necessary test on the building to check the stability or the integrity of the structural members of the building. But over time, government waiting for the response of the owners or developers has really caused a lot of the collapses happening. So we are now being proactive, and we intend to render service. When we identify a building, we'll give you enough statutory notices that this building is distressed. We suspect, it is a suspicion, that this building is not structurally stable. Bring up tests that will verify to government that this building can stand on its own. But if it doesn't, if we don't get a test on time, we've waited several months and people have not been coming forward. So we now took it, okay, let's be proactive. Let's help them with the removal of the structure so that at least we're sure that the building won't come down on their own and start causing, loss of lives and damages to other surrounding structures. So we're only just being proactive to ensure that we maintain lives of citizens.
Okay, but before now, has this exercise been something that the Lagos State government has been doing? I mean, because it's of recent...
Yeah, before now, we've been doing them in bits and pieces, trying to encourage people to do what they have to do. Government is not in business of demolishing people's houses or buildings, illegal or distressed. But we'll always advise you, this is the status, get rid of the building by yourself. But this methodology has not been working. People are not being sincere, and they're not doing what they have to do.
Okay.
So government is not taking the bull by the horn. Once we advise you and the time elapses and you're not forthcoming, we'll seek necessary approval from His Excellency, and we'll just move in and help you remove the building.
All right, what will happen to the affected residents when these demolitions are done?
Well, residents are always advised to seek for alternative residence, because it is their lives that is most germane and important to government. We don't want to lose any life. So before we start demolition, we would have served you notices up to the level of saying, giving you a quick notice to leave the building. We'll even allow you to come, this building is marked for demolition. Please get out. And
after the demolition, what happens next to those buildings?
No,
to the affected residents?
You mean the owner of the residence?
The owner of the residence.
Yeah,
would there plans to get the buildings
government
rebuilt?
is not, we're not doing this to take over your land. The land still belongs to the owner of the land. But you have to just pay back to government the cost of demolition, which we will communicate to you in writing, that we have spent X amount to help you with this removal. And we're even going to cut away all the rubbles, so you have a clean, plain land. So you have a time frame of maybe 90 days, legally speaking, because the law allows us 90 days to give you, like a moratorium to pay back to government the cost of removal. If you don't pay 90 days.
Yeah, okay. Very quickly, one last one. I mean, Lagos Island is the starting point, I believe. What other parts of the state are going to be affected?
We have areas in Sari, Gomu, in Apa local government, Apala, Igoma LCDA. We have in Amuwo, Dofin. We have in Ojo. We have on the mainland in Surulere. So we have them scattered all over the place. We have in Ebutemeta. We did an exercise. We started in Ebutemeta 53 Freeman. That was where we started, but that was just a one-off. But we are going to be going around the state. But we have more of them on the island. So the first 13 we're doing now is actually on the island.
Okay.
So we are going to about 57 events for the first phase.
Okay, that's the first phase.
Yeah, that's the first
I was going to ask you how many houses in total?
57 in the first phase.
Okay.
But 13 starting today. So as funds are released, we'll be graduating like that until we get to all the identified defective buildings.
Can you really confidently say, I mean, from your experience, as a civil engineer, looking at most of the structures that we have in Lagos, can you confidently say that, apart from these ones that are being demolished, what's the, in totality, do we really have solid structures?
In totality?
Yeah.
Well, using the word totality is putting everything together. Okay. But when we say statistically, we can use...
Statistically, okay.
I'll say, yeah, half and half. Half and half. Half and half. We have structurally stable, structures. You might see some buildings could look quite dilapidated, but when you do more engineering tests on the structure, you find that yes, the structural members are actually very still, sound. But it's just the superficial elements, the walls, and maybe the plaster and the paintings that needs to be touched up and just rehabilitated. But once a building is structurally defective, that means the structural members, the beams, the slabs, the columns, and the foundation is gone. There is no, well, it's next impossible.
So very quickly, give us an estimate of the cost, of this demolition exercise to the state government.
Well, it's a couple of millions, but I can't be too exact now because we're doing it in phases. I can't give you a total, but it's going to be in various phases, and we've not put everything, in a box yet. So we can't wait until we have everything in a box. So as we're getting the funds, we're going to be attacking it in those we're taking those baby steps as we go by.
Mr. Leko Shudain, the General Manager of the Lagos State Building Control Agency, many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for
inviting
inviting
me. Appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
All right, still to come on the program, news across Nigeria. It's off to Cross River State, where the state government commissions a block of classrooms in Yala local government area. Details in a moment. Stay with us.